It made me cry.
This One's Wife, Faux Royal Tour number 3. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Have you married a ginger prince and then found that no matter what you do, people don't like you? Did you manage to ensnare a dim-witted member of the British royal family, enabling yourself to be catapulted onto the world stage, only to find that the royal family did not do what you want? Did this mean that you had to run away to Canada and then to California? If this applies to you, is it the case that thereafter you've sought to make a name for yourself with various ventures, but ultimately nobody's that interested? Are you someone who has found that your activities have been scrutinized and have ended in ridicule? Have you perhaps found yourself being portrayed in a popular cartoon of an adult nature, lampooning your ridiculous behaviours? Is it the case that you've developed a lifestyle brand that has drawn nothing but ridicule with nothing to sell, and you've attempted to promote it through the provision of jam, which has just resulted in more people laughing at you and celebrities running a mile from you? Is it the case that you come up with an idea but never see it through because you're inherently lazy? Are you finding your days are being dominated by rage scrolling and seething over your much more attractive and successful sister-in-law? If you recognise yourself in any of the above, then you can address your plummeting popularity with Faux Royal Tour. Yes, with Faux Royal Tour, put behind you all of your concerns and increase your popularity at the drop of a private jet. We will ensure that you will be paid for visiting a country, and that whilst there, you can engage in the following fun activities: wearing clothing that's inappropriate for the circumstances, but behaving like you are one of the world's top models; elbowing your husband out of the way when he receives a gift; playing spot the camera lens as often as you can; ensuring that the appropriate country, already crippled by debt, incurs unnecessary expenditure for your accommodation and security costs. Ensure that you travel with a huge entourage of security so everybody knows that you are important. Rub shoulders with potentially corrupt officials whilst gazing into the camera and talking about how you recognise yourself in small children. We regret to inform you that your own small children can't attend on Faux Royal Tours, as they would detract attention from you. But if you want to address your plummeting popularity and want to ensure that many people who probably haven't heard of you look at you and wonder what you're doing, then all you need do is make an application to Faux Royal Tours, and we will find an appropriate country that you can go and patronise, and then ensure that you declare it a rampant success. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and it certainly seems that This One's Wife has answered that advertisement because, as per Richard Eden and Mark Duell of the Daily Mail, This One's Wife are planning their 3rd foreign tour this year. Which poor buggers finding themselves on the receiving end of a visit from the gruesome twosome? Well, it would appear that Lesotho or Botswana are possible options, so it's back to Africa. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are thought to be planning a 3rd quasi-royal tour before the end of this year, with a return to Africa under consideration. Prince Harry and This One's Wife received a mostly positive reception on their first 2 trips this year, to Nigeria in May and then Colombia last month. The couple have been buoyed by the success of the 2 tours and, quite simply, at a complete loss as to what else they ought to do, they're now planning a further overseas trip for some point later this year, according to Hello magazine. Likely destinations are believed to include Lesotho and Botswana, where Harry's charity, Centrebale, operates. The Duke last visited the countries in 2019. Speaking about Harry's foreign trips and charity work, an insider told Hello, "That's his world. That's what he's used to, and that's what he knows. He can still add value." Harry is also said to embark on a packed solo trip to New York City, where he said that he's going to book himself into a hotel, turn on the porn channel and wank like a chimp without interruption for the first time in years. His visit is set to take place during the United Nations General Assembly High-Level Week on September 23rd to 27th, and Climate Week between September 22nd and 29th. Harry said, "I don't really give a fig about those things. I've just had to tell Megsy that's the reason I'm going to New York. But the real reason is I've an absolute urge to bash the bishop. Absolutely. Get those pink pancakes emptied. It's been far too long." Thus it would appear that the lacking imagination, gruesome twosome, have hit upon their equation moving forward, which is select country in Africa or South America that hasn't demonstrated any particular dislike for us so far. Attend, wear inappropriate clothing, go to a school, talk to school children, issue a word salad, do something in relation to mental health, receive gifts, look unimpressed, wander around a bit, have photographs taken, mise en harem might come, might not, rinse and repeat. Accordingly, this one's wife, unable to attract the appropriate attention that she demands in the United States because she's failed, having failed in the United Kingdom and failed in Canada and failed in South Africa and Australia, has now decided that the most appropriate thing for her to do is pretend to be a royal even though she didn't want to be one. Thus, standing for nothing, except herself, attending on these countries for the purposes of making herself look good to assert control and draw fuel, and manage that facade as a residual benefit, it would appear that poor old Botswana or Lesotho have to suffer these two nincompoops later this year. Not only does it demonstrate a demonstrable lack of imagination with regard to what they're doing, but it shows that they're completely clueless as to what role that they have because they've failed at everything else. And they're simply reverting to behaving like royals, even though they're not actually working ones any longer. Oh, the irony and oh, the amusement. But let's not forget that these destinations naturally are a bastion of safety and security for this one's wife and Harry. The Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office tells us about Lesotho. There's a high threat of terrorist attacks globally affecting UK interests and British nationals, including from groups and individuals who view the UK and British nationals as targets. Although there's no recent history of terrorism in Lesotho, attacks cannot be ruled out. There are occasional political demonstrations in Maseru. These are usually peaceful, but there is a risk of isolated incidents of violence. Much of the violent crime in Lesotho is gun crime between organised crime groups. However, foreigners are vulnerable to opportunistic street crime and vehicle crime. Gender-based violence is very high in Lesotho, so watch out, Prince Harry, you might get a slap round the chops from her. Most crime based on gender are between people who already know each other. Again, you're warned, Prince Harry. But violence towards women and girls happens in all areas of the country. Muggers can target foreign nationals. Do not walk alone in isolated areas or after dark. Armed carjackers or robbers may try to stop your car or get into it while you are stationary. The danger is greatest in urban areas. Do not stop your car if people try to flag you down, and do not give lifts to strangers. Keep doors locked, windows shut, and valuables out of sight. Take precautions to safeguard your valuables and cash. Leave them in hotel safes if possible. So a few warnings there in relation to crime and general security. What about Botswana? Although there's no recent history of terrorism in Botswana, attacks cannot be ruled out. Attacks on tourists are rare in terms of crime, but violent crime is increasing, particularly in the major towns of Gaborone, Francistown and Maun. Criminals have also carried out hold-ups and robberies of restaurants during peak hours. So if this one's wife and Harry decide they're going to dine out, they might need to be careful. Criminals may target cars waiting at traffic lights. And as house burglaries often by armed gangs are common. They don't often target tourists, but there have been isolated room break-ins and theft from lodges in the Chobe area, particularly river-fronting lodges. So you might need to go glamping again to ensure that you're safe, Harry. And keep an eye on the wife of yours. Once again, playing at royals, doing the cosplaying, doing the very thing that they ran away from, demonstrating once again the hypocritical nature and, of course, foreshadowing this in order to try and demonstrate that they have some meaning when they are increasingly meaningless. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.